If you're a real estate agent making $100,000 a year and you want to get up to $400,000 a year in gross commission income, here's how to do it. First, you want to ask yourself if you can just 4 times what you're already doing right now to get your business. I look at what are the inputs and what are the outputs. And so, for example, if you spend 10 hours a week right now on cold calling, and this is what has gotten you to make $100,000 a year, well, can you just make 4 times those inputs to get 4 times the outputs, right? Instead of spending 10 hours a week on making cold calls, are you able to spend 40 hours a week on making them? Now, sometimes the answer is going to be yes, sometimes it's going to be no, or sometimes it's not going to be that obvious. So let me explain. A lot of the time, there's going to be the time constraint, right? Depending on the way that you already get your business, there will be a way to scale it or not. A good thing to look at is going to be the 4 types of leverage. I learned this from Naval Ravikant: code, labor, media, and capital. So for example, if you're already spending 40 hours a week making cold calls, are you able to 4x that? Not really. But you could use one of the forms of leverage like labor to hire people to make cold calls on your behalf. So you get leverage through that way. Another way could be code, right? If you were able to find a way to automate, right, through a software, those calls, but odds are the results are going to, not be as good as when a real human are making them, at least for the way AI is right now. In a couple of months or years, it might be able to, but not yet. Maybe you're not making cold calls to make $100K a year and you're relying on word of mouth and referrals. And it kind of just happens. People just call you here and there, and there's no real system in place where you can look at your inputs and be like, oh, let me just do 4 times more of that. In that case, what you need to do is establish a new way to get more business on top of what has already made you $100K. Now, there are thousands of ways to actually go about getting more business, but your 2 most leveraged options are going to be buying leads from a lead company or learning what that company might do for you and generate the lead yourself at a fraction of the cost you would pay a lead company doing it for you. There are pros and cons to both. If you just want speed and results as quickly as possible, you might go with the lead company, pay them, and then receive leads. That being said, though, you might be disappointed. Or it might work, but do you really want to have all that power being in their hands? What if they go out of business? What if they change their fees and all of a sudden you can't really afford them, or it doesn't make sense to pay them that much for just so little back? That's why, in my opinion, the best way is to learn how to generate your own leads. And that's going to be either through building an organic following by posting free content on social media, or by running paid ads, or even better, a mix of both. Here's what I recommend. If you're in a place right now where, let's say you're making $8,000 a month on average, and you are able to live with $5,000, including all the taxes you need to pay and your mortgage, your car payments, all your expenses for $5,000 a month, that means you're able to save $3,000 a month. Now, that $3,000 a month that you have in surplus, instead of investing that into real estate or the S&P 500, I would put that aside and invest that into running ads for yourself. If on the flip side, you're making on average $8,000 a month, $100,000 a year, and your cost of living every single month is about $8,000 a month, right? $100,000 a year, and you're not able to save some money, then that's when I would start posting content on social media. Because first, it is free, and second, odds are if you don't have a lot of money saved up, odds are you have more time than money. At least for now. And look, your first ads are gonna suck. Your first videos are gonna suck, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that you get started and you learn the skill. And every single day, you just look back at your last video, you look back at your last ad, and you ask yourself the question, how can I make this better? You pick up a marketing book, you learn about headline, about copywriting, about what is a great hook, what makes a great YouTube video, what makes a good title or on YouTube, how do you rank your video on YouTube or even on Instagram? Or how do you turn your views into actual leads? And then over time, you'll learn the skill of lead generation, of marketing, the same way you learned how to be a real estate agent and how to sell houses. You had to learn it. And so it's going to be the same way here. Now, again, you don't need to go through that route. You could just pay a company. They do it for you. You don't learn anything. But again, you create a big dependency inside your business. You rely on a lead gen company. And you're going to pay a lot more money for those leads as well than if you were just to do them directly yourself with no middleman.